Hey everybody, I'm making a hard move towards blueberries. Very excited. I've been eating a lot of oranges, but now I'm doing a lot more blueberries. And I just wanted to make a quick video because during election seasons, I think I can be misunderstood and there might be a bit of a rift between me and a lot of my favorite listeners. And you might think I sound unhinged or conspiratorial or how could that possibly be? And is everyone in on it? It's really basic. Like I'm not an out there conspiracy guy. It's just, I know how things work. The president of the United States Corporation is not as powerful as you think. Like they're not competing against the system. They're applying for a job. They're not the shareholders of the country. They don't own anything. It's like Walgreens. You can look at a Walgreens and you have like general manager, assistant manager. The corporate structure isn't an owner. So someone, like when I was just saying that Trump's ear doesn't look like it was injured and people are just going nuts about that. I'm not saying what happened. It might have been a retarded guy from a BlackRock commercial climbed up a shed, and because Melissa McCarthy was the Secret Service, got clipped the ear, and because of incredible plastic surgery, stem cells, and a great bandage, it's all exactly as they say. But here's the thing to watch out for. There really is no official story. The official story right now sounds totally it's like nonsense, right? It's like, so they immediately knew lone gunman immediately, and they knew he had no accomplices. Anyone that understands law enforcement knows that's impossible. When you find your guy, you don't know if they have accomplices. You haven't done any investigation yet. So, they say it's this guy named Crooks who was literally in a BlackRock commercial and was on a roof 150 yards away with an AR-15, and everyone was pointing at him for a half hour, and he got some rounds off, and one of them clipped the president in the ear, and there's no footage of that, and then he stands up triumphantly and then keeps touring without anybody being fired from the Secret Service. Okay. Totally possible. Yeah, great. I looked at his ear and I said, that doesn't look like his ear got hit. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying who did what or anything. I'm just saying, and then people are like, you think everything's fake? You think, I'm like, yeah, let me just fill you in on something else. In 2012, there's something called the Smith-Mundt Act, which it's now legal to have completely false events on the news to propagandize the country. We used to do that in other countries. I mean, it's always happened in America, but we use the news in other countries to propagandize people and do completely false events, okay? It's totally legal for them to do that here. And what I see as the presidential election is two people with their backers competing for a job with influence. The president doesn't have any real power because they're an employee, okay? But they do have influence. They do have little things they can do. They can boost morale or maybe have an idea here or there or link people together or propose something. But there's no power there. It's management. And if anyone understands how the corporate structure works, managers don't own it. Okay, we have the owners of America are not they're not in the government. Okay, the government is like a bureaucracy of management to be in between the plebes, us, the citizens. Citizen is another word for slave. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Again, no demoralization, tons of hope. It's all good. But the citizen, and then you have the government, which is the management. It's basically like where we put our, it's like a complaint box. And then they give the speeches, they act out the mythology, and everybody lives their life, which is fine. I think more people should focus on their jobs and their families anyway. If I wasn't a comedian that comments on events professionally, I probably wouldn't even be talking about it. Bear that in mind whenever you hear me on social media. This is literally my job. I'm a mediocre farmer. I mean, I work hard, but it's not very profitable. My job is to do live streams, make people laugh, play piano, comment on events, show different angles to things, have interesting takes. That's literally my job. And I'm paid directly by my listeners. So I'm not a shill, and I'm very valuable because the people who listen to me find me valuable and pay me directly. Like no middlemen, no sponsors, no corporate stuff, no agencies, just that's what I do for a living. So that's why I'm commenting on stuff. I don't even care, really. It's like the Trump ear thing to me looks ridiculous, right? But it doesn't matter. One way to look at it is you got two competing teams. Like, all right, I'll tell you a story about TJ Miller. TJ Miller is a comedian, and he's been in a bunch of stuff. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who he is, but he was in a movie called, it was Yogi Bear, the cartoon. And I remember when he auditioned with a real bear. He went to the zoo and he read all his lines with a living bear. And he got the part because in Hollywood and in Jewish circles, that's called chutzpah, where you just have the balls to do something big, like a big marketing thing. Like, did you hear what TJ Miller did? He read his lines with a real bear. My opinion, and I have no idea if this is true or not, is it was a real ballsy chutzpah, fun marketing move. But I could be completely wrong. It could be a former BlackRock commercial actor who's retarded, who got the shot off because Melissa McCarthy was eating donuts. And again, that's 100% possible. And it'll change every day. That's the beauty of mainstream narratives. This happens at the end of empires where the truth changes daily, right? And that's what the wages of sin are in these empires, including ours, is it becomes just nonsense bullshit. And when you point that out, it's so painful to people. Like, I'm not getting persecuted from above like I used to. Companies kind of leave me alone for the most part. For me, I get a lot more backlash from people that find me painful, because simply pointing that out is like, people are like, don't point it out. It's too painful to point out. Like, just let us have our bullshit. And I don't think you should look at it that way. And I'm not really talking to you if you're like that. I think it's a much less painful life, a much more enjoyable life when you just have a lot of hope, high morale, work hard, you're honest, and you laugh at how stupid it is. It's like, it's not painful. It's really not. It might be at first because you're scared, but it's really not painful. It's only painful if you require someone else to save you, or you think the government owes you something, or the government has to take care of you, or politicians are good people. They're all terrible people. Trump, Kamala, all of them. As far as what I consider that. I'm landing the plane. I'm just doing a quick video. Look at all the blueberries. All right, cool. So I just want to let you guys know that it's not like a judgment thing. And it's just because of the nature of the government isn't how most people act. Most people act like it's a Game of Thrones, like it's kings competing. But in reality, it's like, it's like one of those reality shows where people are competing to be someone's assistant because they're not the owners. They're not the shareholders. They're not the owners of the Fed, the 13 districts of the Fed, or the central bank, or anything of actual importance. They're not, the IMF or any of that stuff, or just, like the shareholders of BlackRock and Vanguard and all that stuff. They're just like a fun show where people get to act out the mythology of a king when there is no king. It's a corporation. But in the meantime, just have a great life. And it's fun. It's not bad, but it does get to the point where, it's just total nonsense, where our presidents are arguing about who is a better golfer, and then one we think is dead because he's 5 inches taller, but no one really knows, and the other one may have miraculously had his ear healed. And then the other one, of course, does beaches. I think she beaged like Arsenio Hall or something. Like, it's nonsense. And if you listen to other countries with actual leaders, it sounds like Bach. They're talking about what the youth are going through and despair versus like productivity and the history of their country and the nation. And, Americans are just like, the American political stuff is just like, Sleepy Joe did it again. And Biden is just like, where am I? And Kamala's like, back in the streets, I used to have a saying. And you're just like, dude, how are you not laughing at this? And so on like Twitter and stuff, when people get really angry and aggressive, I'm just like, dude, enjoy the show, man. It's a show. These guys are competing for management at Walgreens. All right, I hope that makes sense. Much love.